American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays gone down. Throw it all away. Throw it all away.
Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
Yes, and we are back with some guests, some of our favorite guests of all time, are probably the most, obviously now the most frequent guests we've ever had. That's right, the Scottish guys are back.
Woo!
Daniel and Nathaniel from Who the Fuck Is. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello. How are we all doing?
I'm telling you guys are getting some really big fans over here in America. I was telling a buddy of mine, I was like, hey, I got to get with you later because I'm recording American Timelines with the Scottish guys today. And he was like, the Scottish guys? I love the Scottish guys. Those guys are hilarious. And my buddy Dan was saying, I've been listening to their podcast too now because we love those guys so much. So
Brilliant. Fantastic.
So the plan is
Good
working.
stuff.
Yeah.
Five
Yes.
listeners, Daniel. 5 listeners.
Yeah. well, the thing is, we love coming on this because you guys are great, and it's great to just get drunk and talk about history and all
That's
that.
right. It's so
Yeah,
fun.
we really represent the stereotypes of Scotland in that we always get shit faced.
That's awesome. That's why we love you.
That's right.
And I mean, what the listeners don't know is a lot of times we'll spend hours before we record and hours after we record just bullshitting, which
Yeah.
makes me think, by the way, I'm going to have to pull you aside and just I want to do just a YouTube video, like a YouTube channel or something of just us bullshitting and just record it, throw it up, and just see if anybody cares. Like, it'll just be round-robin questions. Like, we'll ask you questions about Scotland, you ask us about America, and we'll just go. That'll be fun.
Fuck
So,
yeah, this is definitely leading up to. There's going to be a joint podcast in the future. I can just feel it. I feel it in my bones.
That's awesome. So since we got a lot to cover, we're going to jump right in. So you can listen to Daniel and Nathaniel's podcast, Who the Fuck Is, on Spotify and anywhere else. But I usually get it on Spotify. But it's everywhere now, right, guys?
That's the place to find it. Is it a
Yeah,
few
I mean,
places, Daniel?
I've not
that
heard-
kind of stuff, right?
I've not heard back from iHeartRadio yet, which I'm thoroughly upset
come
because
on, iHeartRadio.
big fan of
Yeah, let's get
iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
I
We
think you have to
need,
have a certain amount of
yeah.
episodes, I think, don't you?
Ah,
But you
fuck,
guys
I've
got
seen
a
it.
bunch now, so I think you only need to have
Yeah.
20 or something.
We're on our fourth season now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Finished
it's-
a long time ago, really.
Yeah, it's
But no, we're still going. Yeah, we're talking about Viola Davis now, or
Oh,
Viola
neat.
Davis as we mispronounce it.
Yeah.
In
That's hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we've basically started calling her Voila Davis now.
So check
but
these guys out.
basic-
We'll put a link to their podcast in our description, so you can click on wherever you're listening to this. Click on that, you can go get their page. How about that? But yeah,
And we were talking about this on our episode that we recorded. Fuck, was it two days ago, Nathan?
That me and Daniel did our first two-person podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, because John is not here because John got his COVID vaccination
No,
a couple of
John's
days
dead.
ago.
oh, he did.
Oh.
John's, oh
Not feeling
no,
good.
John's dead. Yeah,
No, no.
we killed him off. But
been written off
we were talking about how you talked about how you guys have got a hater, and I really want our podcast to have a hater now. I really want someone to care that much about what we do with our lives that they will message us and tell us how shit they think we are.
yeah.
And I just really want that.
Yeah.
Is that guy still fucking with you guys?
No, that was just the one time.
No, one time he was on Castbox. He was like a guy that was on the Castbox app. And so I've never seen that guy. It's just one. He was mad one time.
And it was hysterical.
What's his name again?
Brent Nelson.
Brett Nelson.
Yeah,
Brett Nelson isn't a fan of Joe.
Fuck yourself.
The guy hates
Yeah,
my
fuck
guts.
off, Brett Nelson.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into 1952.
So we're gonna get into 1952. So we're gonna finish up December, and we got a little bit in December. And then these guys, as we do when we bring the Scottish fellas on, they have some general 1952 things that didn't happen in America. Hopefully Scotland or something like that. We'll see. They're gonna surprise us. So we're gonna finish up December now. Let's jump right back in, and I have something. This is all news to me. I did not know about this. Monday, December 1st, the New York Daily News reports the news of Christine Jorgensen. You guys know who Christine Jorgensen is? You ever heard of this name?
I've heard it, but
You don't know why? The news of Christine Jorgensen, the first notable case of sexual reassignment surgery in the United States. Yeah. In 1952, so I was blown away by this.
Wow.
And this is really surprising. I had no idea this happened. So she was an American transgender woman who was the first person to become widely known in the U.S. for having sexual reassignment surgery. She grew up in the Bronx, New York City, later described herself as having been a frail, blonde, introverted little boy who ran from fistfights and rough-and-tumble games.
Aw, poor kid.
Shortly after graduating from high school in 1945, she was drafted in the U.S. Army during World War II.
Oh, wow. That must have been hard.
Yeah. After her military service, she attended several schools and worked. And it was during this time she learned about sexual reassignment surgery, which it blows my mind that this was even a possibility in 1952.
1952.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like,
It's-
because it's
Yeah.
really
I
only
can't
in the
believe-
last sort of like 15 years that it's become like, I guess accepted. But
Mhm.
for
Accepted and
1950,
common, yeah.
Mainstream. Yeah.
but 1952, that's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
she traveled to Europe, and in
Trans rights.
Copenhagen, Denmark, she obtained special permission to undergo a series of operations starting in 1952. Returned to the United States in the early 50s, and her transition was the subject of New York Daily News front page story. She became an instant celebrity, known for her directness and polished wit. She used the platform to advocate for transgender people. She also worked as an actress and a nightclub entertainer and recorded several songs. She often lectured on the experience of being transgender and published an autobiography in 1967. So in the 70s and stuff, she would go speak to places and just kind of let people know. So I guess she began taking.
But that must have been fucking rough for her. When were the Stonewall riots? Like
The 70s.
The 70s.
69? 70s, yeah.
I think.
When I read
Wow,
this,
so that's-
I read up on her a little bit. It seemed like generally she was kind of accepted. Like they were all kind of like, everyone was so fascinated, and she was really beautiful. So that was part of the thing. She was like a beauty queen. So everyone was just, I think it was their first nobody even thought of this before. So maybe that's why it was so, like, I just assumed right away she'd be like hated and destroyed. But I guess after a while she did get some guff and stuff. But generally she had this amazing career. She did try to get married a little bit later, but she was unable to. She had to call off the wedding because her birth certificate said she was male, so it was illegal for her to get married then. It was kind of shitty. But so that, I mean,
That's pretty cool.
but the New York Daily News did falsely report her as the first ever transsexual surgery, reassignment surgery. But Germany was performing these surgeries since the 30s, so it was incorrect. Like, she's not the first, just
Jesus.
the first American. Yeah, it's the 30s. I can't
Isn't that
believe
what
it.
the film The Danish Girl's about? Isn't that about Eddie
Yeah,
Redmayne?
well,
Yeah,
he's
trans.
playing what's the actress called? Gerda Wegener. Asks her husband Einar to pose as a female model for painting, and then Einar, who was an artist himself, realized that he was trans.
Oh.
All right.
And this was in 1882. He was born in 1882 and died in 1931.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
film
she
says that they
she
were
was
surgery.
she was one of the early recipients of sex reassignment surgery. It was 1930 that she transitioned. Wow.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy? I never would have
Yeah.
guessed that.
Yeah, it's.
Well,
yeah,
because
she died in the Weimar Republic, so Germany.
Yeah.
So that I'd imagine that's where she would have got the surgery.
Anyway, so that was Christine Jorgensen. There's
Very-
a lot more. If you look her up even on Wikipedia, you can find a lot more. It was really interesting, and it's great. I mean,
well, it's hard.
I don't know.
She probably was still a punchline,
yeah, I'm sure people made fun of it and whatever. But,
because that was how it was forever.
yeah. But a very important person as far as history, history of transgender rights and standing up for people and kind of like knocking down the stigma or
Yeah.
just getting people used to the idea, I guess. But yeah, I had no idea she existed or that was early as 52. I'm amazed. And then that brings us to December 5th. It was a Friday when the killer fogs begin in London, England.
Oh.
Oh yes.
Smog becomes a word
What?
at this point. The first time smog was coined. That's why I figured one of you guys would talk about this because I never heard of this, but I thought maybe this is famous where you guys are. But over 4,000 people died. It was a period of unusually cold weather in London combined with an anticyclone and windless conditions. It collected airborne pollutants mostly arising from the use of coal to form a thick layer of smog over the city. It lasted from Friday, December 5th to Tuesday, December 9th, 1952, then dispersed quickly when the weather changed. This ended up leading to Parliament passing the first Clean Air Act in 1956.
Oh yeah, because in London the air was
Coal
probably
burning
awful.
Yeah.
Right?
Government medical reports.
Chimneys.
Yes. I was picturing Bob Cratchit. Everybody's like burning coal.
Well, that was a little bit earlier than
Yeah, I guess a little bit
that,
earlier.
but
Yeah.
Come
But
on, Timmy, you're on the fire next.
government medical reports in the weeks following the event estimated that up to 4,000 people had died as a direct result of the smog, and 100,000 more were made ill by the smog's effects on the human respiratory tract. More recent research, however, suggested that the total number of fatalities may have been considerably greater, with estimates of between 10,000 and 12,000 deaths. Just they think a lot
Because
of
people
them are
were
unreported.
because it was this like really really thick fog, like you couldn't see like a meter in front of you. So I know
Wow.
people were like a lot of people were hit by cars.
Oh my gosh!
Because if you imagine London is such a
Yeah.
busy city and it still
Yeah.
has to function day to day.
Yeah.
I know, like I found out about the smog watching. Have you guys ever watched The Crown?
no, I have
No.
not. I've been wanting to.
I have not been
Yes.
wanting to.
So yeah. So it's
I agree with you there.
I don't give a shit about royalty at all. Like I just can't.
neither do I. But I like good performances,
Okay.
and there's plenty of good performances in
Yeah.
The Crown. But yeah, 1952, because that was and if you think that was the Queen's first year as the Queen, our current
Oh
well,
really? Oh yeah.
the
that's
current
right, yeah.
monarch,
Yeah.
Queen
Yeah.
Elizabeth II. Yeah.
Yeah.
February she was made Queen.
So do you really think is she real or is it a robot at this point? Like how was she still alive?
Ah, fuck.
She's
well,
just,
they
like, stitched
finally
together.
killed off Philip this year.
yeah.
Yeah.
They finally decided to
They
retire
took
him.
his heart,
Yeah.
put it in Queen Elizabeth,
So
put
there-
it back
there-
up, kept her going.
There's a genuine because a couple of years ago Prince Philip retired for. Well, I say retired. Really, what did they do? Turn up and fucking pull curtains and cut
Yeah.
ribbon.
Yeah.
So
He was very
he
good at it.
retired from being a full-time royal.
Oh, yeah.
Now he was the only one that I thought was kind of funny because he did say that he was the best curtain. He was the best curtain puller in the world because he did it for fucking everything.
Yeah.
But there's like a conspiracy because a couple of years before he died, he retired from royal duties, and there's people who think that it was actually because he died, and they basically stuffed his body and then carted him out occasionally.
Oh my God! Like Weekend at Bernie's.
Ha.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
and they'd kept him,
Frankenstein the prince.
and they basically kept him on ice for 4 fucking years.
Oh
Which doesn't match up because he got caught speeding a couple of years ago. Because I don't think I think the royals. I know the Queen doesn't need a driving license.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, because she's the Queen.
Well, she's never gonna drive. Yeah. Right.
Does she drive herself around?
Yeah.
She
They all
does?
have like Land Rovers.
She drives herself? I would assume somebody just drives her everywhere.
No, people do drive her everywhere, but when she's the Queen has an
She
estate
needs
up
to
in.
pop down the shops and she jumps in the Land
She needs to go and get a pint of milk. But yeah, the Queen has
a
a
dressing ground.
And she says, I'll take 20 Benson and Hedges while I'm at it.
75 a Glades if you wouldn't mind.
And I'll take 2 of these scratch cards as well.
I love it when the Queen talks.
But yeah, she's got an estate up in Scotland called Balmoral. And it's fucking huge, and they all go hunting and stuff like that. So I think she drives her Land Rover about there. But Philip was in a car crash in his Land Rover because he was basically he's older than like sliced bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he crashed his car into someone.
Oh my God.
All right, that'll bring us to December 6th, and we're going to have to cue the music because we have our first birthday.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
Yep.
I knew they would sing it. That was great. So our first birthday of December, as a teenager, Craig Newmark was born.
Who is Craig Newmark?
Well, you'll see if you can guess. As a teenager, Craig Newmark attended Morristown High School, where he became interested in physics. He wore taped-together black-rimmed glasses and a pocket protector. In an interview, he described his high school self as possible nerd patient zero. And then later in life, during his freshman year of college, he began studying computer science. Craig earned a Bachelor's of Science and Master of Science degrees in computing and information sciences from Case Western Reserve University in 1975 and 1977.
What is he? Just somebody that invented?
He's the founder of Craigslist.
Oh God.
And now people use it to have casual sex.
That's right.
Yeah.
Find a plug for their weed.
Craig.
Thank
you, Craig.
He as a kid, he liked science fiction and comic books. His mother was a bookkeeper. His father was a meat salesman.
Are we done?
A meat salesman.
He goes door to door
Meat salesman.
with his raw meat.
Yeah, like he's selling fucking Hoovers.
I know, right?
He's not. Is that what they had in the 50s? They didn't have double glazing salesmen. They had meat salesmen.
Just meat salesman out of the back of his car. But the thing is, though, so this guy's super rich, right? He's a millionaire. He sold Craigslist a while ago. He's got tons of money, but he still flies commercial, and he does not own a car because he prefers to use public transportation.
Well, good for
Can you
him.
believe that?
Yeah.
Yep.
At least
Craigslist.
I
Good
kind
day,
of like
Craig.
that. I mean, like rich fucks that are still like kind of down to earth
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
have like.
Oh yeah.
They said for
Because-
years Joe
because
Biden rides the train, like public transportation. Not anymore, I'm sure, but for a long time he did.
Yeah.
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 Because I mean, most rich people are like completely out of touch. I mean,
Yeah.
all we need to do is look at during the pandemic.
Oh my
like,
God.
When all the celebrities sung "Imagine."
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Or
Yes.
Jeff Bezos and the other guy trying to go to space right now.
Yeah, that Gal Gadot. doing that.
Elon Musk or whatever
Gal
his name
Gadot
is.
did that.
Yeah,
Imagine. She was like,
Elon Musk.
they like all got together, and then and who was the Kardashian that like we had enough, so all my closest friends, we flew to a private island for the pandemic.
Oh, it would have been
yeah.
It would have been. I think it was probably Kendall Jenner.
Maybe it was the Jenner.
'Cause
She was like,
she always has these sort of controversies because she was the one that she was in a Pepsi commercial a couple of years back.
yeah,
That was like
Was that the Pepsi
it was like
commercial where they were trying to unite the world or something?
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
It was like mirroring the Black Lives Matter protests, and it was like
Yes.
here we're
That's
able
right.
to seal the divide between protesters and police through a drink that will
Just
kill
drink
you.
Pepsi.
Yeah. Everybody loves
drink,
Pepsi.
Drink Pepsi, and all your problems will
And
be
a
fucking solved.
super rich
Pepsi
lady
Sol,
that's never
yes.
been on the front lines of any protest. But yeah, that was the
Yeah,
thing.
and
She was
then
like,
you hear shit
Yeah.
about like Kylie Jenner saying that she's the youngest self-made billionaire.
Yeah, right.
Self-made my fucking
Oh,
eye.
I know.
yeah.
Seriously.
That's ridiculous.
Like, her fucking
Yeah.
dad was an Olympian and her mum's a fucking socialite.
Yeah.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
And the times are so the pandemic was just so rough on them that they wanted to just get away and just go to a private
Yeah.
island.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, it was
They
just-
had
All
to
right.
sell their 15th house and then move away.
That's right.
So we're moving on to Monday, December 8th, 1952, the first TV acknowledgement of pregnancy. Because,
Oh.
TV is pretty new. It was an I Love Lucy episode titled Lucy is Inciente, TV's first pregnant character, but the script didn't use the word pregnant one time because
Yeah.
so Lucy had to famously dance around saying the word pregnant because CBS deemed the word pregnant too vulgar to air.
Isn't that awful?
Hence the French
They
word for
say
pregnancy.
ego is prego.
The stupid puritanical society.
That started up
Yeah,
in the United States. Yeah.
Did they use like any
Your
euphemisms? Like
Christian
what's some,
overlords.
Like a
what's
bun
some
in the
American
oven.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
that your guys' most like?
Yeah, a lot of people
most
will say you have a
popular
bun in the
Knocked
oven.
up. I'm
Our-
sure they didn't say knocked up, but like
Knocked up Lucy.
with child. But yeah, so I didn't even know this was
Did
a thing.
someone
until I
shoot a
thought so.
child into you, Lucy?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Ours
that's
is
that's any better.
probably,
Yeah, they can't say the word pregnant, but they can talk. They can graphically describe the jizz. Inside
No,
of
they
her,
don't.
yeah,
I'm
and
just
they
kidding.
can and they
No, they
can.
don't. I'm
You
joking.
just got railed, Lucy, didn't you?
And
Lucy got railed by a penis,
Oh my god.
and she became with child. But we're
All
not
right.
gonna
He
say the other
injected
word.
his man juice into her.
They can say that, but can't say pregnant. Yeah, that's terrible. Anyway,
Sick.
and now that brings us to Amy has something to share on Friday, December 12th,
Okay.
1952. What
Yes.
do you got for us?
Yes, I'm going to talk
Take it away.
I'm going to talk about the English serial killer John Reginald Christie. Are you guys familiar at all?
You guys know this guy?
I am not.
Okay.
I do not
Oh,
know.
we totally.
I
thought
was
guys
worried
were-
you would be like experts and everything. Like when I would tell it, you'd be like, "No, that's not right."
Oh no, we're idiots. We don't know anything.
That's why they fit in so well with us, idiots.
All right, my main source, biography.com.
Okay, biography.com. That's
Basically
very
an article
easy.
from
Yeah.
biography.com.
All right, get some one article.
All right, and Wikipedia, and I watched a video.
You watched a video.
Yep,
What was the video?
it was on YouTube. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
All right, it was just for my own knowledge. You know how you need to have a like.
Yeah, a little
Okay.
backup, extra knowledge.
Yeah, you just want to get multiple sources. You
Yeah.
want to get a second
Yes,
opinion.
correct.
Not- it's smart research, Amy.
But we're just not going to cite.
I don't
that
know if
source 'cause
anybody
we
would
don't
ever say
remember what it
smart
is.
research. My research is never.
Ours is called half-ass.
It's
Half-ass
called
research.
copy and paste. Okay.
Yes.
John Reginald Halliday Christie was
Okay.
born in Yorkshire, England in 1898.
Yorkshire? Yorkshire? Is that how you say it?
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire?
Come from
Yorkshire.
Yorkshire Dales.
Yorkshire?
Was he? Is this the Yorkshire Ripper?
Yes, I think.
Oh, I know that name.
Hold on. I'm going to double check that it's the same because my sources. Hold on.
You want me to Google it?
All these sources.
I kn-
Yorkshire
Yeah, I
Ripper.
know that.
Let's see. No, it's not. Peter Sutcliffe was the
Ah,
Yorkshire
okay.
Ripper.
Right.
That's
okay.
why I didn't ever read that anywhere. Okay. He grew up in a household largely dominated by his disciplinarian father and his overprotective mother and sisters.
Okay.
And he grew up to be a sexually dysfunctional, control-obsessed hypochondriac with an inherent dislike of women.
That sounds like
it
someone
sounds
we
like a-
know.
What?
No, I'm just
That
kidding.
sounds like basically every serial killer ever.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, right. It's the incels. It sounds like an incel.
So he left school at 15.
Okay.
During World War I, he served as a signalman, He was involved in a mustard gas attack that he claimed blinded him temporarily and caused hysterical muteness that lasted over 3 years.
Hysterical muteness?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Although-
as in, like, it wasn't real muteness?
Or is he was
It's a
just like really
psychological.
excited and just didn't
Or is it
talk?
just really funny that guy can't talk?
No, it's psychological that he can't talk.
Oh, okay.
But some people said that they thought that was a means to gain attention, that he was faking it.
He could have been.
His earlier
But
sexual
probably not.
dysfunction and control issues precluded any normal sexual relations, and he started to frequent sex workers from the age of 19. But this muteness did not prevent his marriage in 1920 to Ethel Simpson Waddington.
So he got married. He found someone and got married without speaking to that person.
That's right.
Wow.
Yes.
Now that's game.
But
Yeah.
his sick.
That is game.
Yeah.
That is game.
But his
Meanwhile, he's paying for sex from everyone else. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
his sexual
Meanwhile, he's plotting
difficulties.
their murder?
Yeah.
All right. His sexual difficulties remained. His visits to sex workers continued regularly into his marriage.
Oh, okay.
He became a postman, and he was sent to prison for 3 months for
yeah.
stealing postal orders. 2 years later, he was put on probation for violent behavior. He also left Ethel around this time and moved to London, leaving her to support herself in Sheffield.
Oh.
Okay. Then he turns 29, and he's back in prison on theft charges.
All this has happened before the age of 29.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And he spent 9 months
fucking busy.
incarcerated before moving in with a sex worker. Then a further 6 months inside for assaulting her.
Oh.
He was also suspected of other assaults on women, but no charges were brought. A further spell in prison for car theft followed that, after which he asked estranged wife Ethel to come and live with him in London, which she did.
Oh,
in
she came back. She
1933.
just can't get enough of this guy's sexual
She
dysfunction
can't-
Sick.
and hatred of women.
This
Went back to
mute
this guy.
sexual deviant.
Yeah, really.
Can't get enough of that guy.
The
She
visit.
just wants to try and get him to fucking talk. That's
She's like,
what she wants.
I'm gonna get this guy.
I
to
think he
talk.
was
I
talking
know
by
I
this
can-
time.
I can change him.
Yeah.
I can change him.
I can do it. The visits to sex workers to relieve his violent sexual urges continued, which by now also included elements of necrophilia. And these urges intensified over the next
Christ.
decade.
Necrophilia.
Christie and Ethel moved to 10 Rillington Place in 1938.
Do you guys know where that is?
Like they know it's
Wait, what?
a street.
Do you guys know where 10
Been
Rillington
there
places?
many a
You've been there?
Oh yeah,
It's in Europe.
I lived there when I was put in Nipper, when I grew up in we're in London now. Oh yeah, I lived there when I was young.
There you go.
I'm a London boy.
Michael Caine's coming.
Marco Caine.
So, Christie's first known victim was killed sometime in 1943.
Oh.
Ruth First was a 21-year-old Austrian girl who was having an affair with Christie when
Wait,
he
her name is Ruth First?
yes,
And she was his first?
first victim, but spelled different.
Oh.
When
With burst.
Crazy. And the second happened to be Jim Second.
so she was they were having a relationship,
Oh,
and then
okay.
he impulsively strangled her during sex,
Ooh.
and then he buried her in the communal garden at Rillington Place.
I wonder if it was like exciting at first for her, and then later, like, oh wait, no, this isn't fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
What a dumb
This
place
is
to
murder.
bury her as well.
I know.
You mean he buried her in the garden that everyone fucking goes to?
Right,
But he
exactly.
planted petunias on top of the graves, which just looked like a new flower bed.
Right, it probably did. So he loved the power thrill that the death of his victims had afforded. So he took great care in planning his next attack on 32-year-old neighbor Muriel Eady.
Uh-oh.
This was on November 8th, 1944.
Oh, the same day that the American submarine, the Growler, was sunk west of the Philippines by Japanese warships?
Yes!
That same day?
Yes, that day.
I knew you.
So
That
much
gives you
happened.
context.
The growler, is that... Just want to double check. Is growler a euphemistic word for a vagina in the States?
Oh, no, is it there?
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love it. No wonder you thought that was so funny. I was like, I didn't
Yeah,
think that was
a
that funny.
growler
But a growler
is
is a vagina.
That
A
makes sense.
growler here is a vessel for beer. We fill up our growlers at. Yeah, he's laughing. Look at him laughing.
I'm sure
No,
you
over here, a growler is a vessel for something else.
Yes.
So me saying we fill up our growlers probably doesn't. You probably don't enjoy that. Like, where can I get my growler filled?
would mean something quite different.
Nobody
in
will
Scotland.
laugh here if you say, where can I get my
All right.
growler filled?
On November
it doesn't-
8th,
doesn't
1944,
Yeah.
he invited her over, claiming to be able to cure a recurring chest ailment with a special inhaler, which actually contained carbon monoxide.
Oh.
Once she was rendered unconscious, he strangled her while
Invented.
raping her, and she died during the process.
Oh Christ!
So he made an inhaler with carbon monoxide?
Yes.
Just
And
to kill somebody?
he put her in the back garden next to the other girl.
Uh-oh. That garden better be big.
Okay, so then in 1948,
no.
Timothy
Never thought of
Evans
it.
and his wife Beryl moved into Rillington Place, and soon Beryl gave birth to a baby girl, Geraldine.
Oh, sweet. I bet that's a happy ending.
Yeah, I don't know about this one.
Evans had an IQ
Wouldn't
of
that be great
70.
if it just ended happily now?
All right,
and that's
listen.
No more murders?
He had an IQ of
They went
70.
away.
Who did?
The Timothy Evans.
Oh, Timothy Evans.
The guy that moved in
All
with
right.
his wife and the baby.
Is that high or low?
That's low.
That's really fucking
That's
low.
really low.
That's mental retardation.
Yes.
What they used to call mental retardation. So he was an impressionable man too,
Okay.
but he also had a violent temper.
Uh-oh.
His learning difficulties made it hard for him to hold a steady job, and when a year later Beryl found herself pregnant again, she feared that they would not be able to support another child.
Uh-oh.
So Christie claimed that he had some knowledge of abortion, which was illegal in the UK at the time,
Oh God!
and he offered to assist the couple. Beryl became Christie's third victim, incapacitated, strangled, and violated. She died on November 8th, 1948, as a result of his intervention.
She died the same day that Natharam Godse read a 30,000-word statement in Indian court confessing to the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi and explaining his motivation? That same day?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, my gosh, that same day.
Jesus Christ.
He persuaded, and so he tells Evans, so the husband, he kills the girl, right?
Yeah.
He rapes her and he kills her and does all this stuff.
And Gandhi's
And buries her in the garden. He tells...
Oh no, we want to preface that Gandhi is there.
dead. Yeah, Gandhi's dead, yes. Gandhi's dead.
Everyone's like, it seems like Ben Kingsley did blackface for Gandhi, right? Was
Kinda.
blackface?
Did he, kind of?
Kinda.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. That's-
Yeah.
I don't-
Yep.
I think so.
I
He
would say.
bronzed.
Bronze face? Is that what you call it? Bronze face?
Yeah.
Bronzed.
Yeah, why doesn't he get more guff for that?
So
Okay,
he
sorry.
tells-
Go ahead.
He tells Evans, the husband,
Yep.
that her death had resulted from septic poisoning from the various other abortion remedies that she had tried up until that point,
Oh.
and
that's a
convinced
lie.
him not to go to the police. Instead, he was dispatched alone to stay with his mother's sister in Wales, with Christie claiming that he had found a young couple willing to look after baby Geraldine.
Oh.
She was never seen alive again.
Oh, no.
Evans'
Oh,
mother...
God.
So then Evans' mother's wants to know what's going on. She's
Yeah.
puzzled by this mysterious disappearance of Beryl and the baby.
Yeah.
She confronts Evans, and on November 30th, unable to maintain a charade any longer, he went to the police in Wales. Wishing to protect Christie, he confessed to accidentally killing Beryl himself by giving her abortion pills and then disposing of her body in a sewer drain.
Oh.
So the police investigated, and they didn't find anything. And
They didn't find the body?
so no, because that's not what happened to her.
Oh.
And Evans was questioned more intensely a second time, at which time he changed his story and implicated Christie in Beryl's death.
Oh.
So they go and they search Rillington Place on December 2nd, 1949.
Oh, the same day that Ron Raines was born, American actor known for the role of Alan Spaulding on Guiding Light, which we talked about that started in 1952.
Okay.
That's the only thing I could find that day.
Yeah.
Who cares about that guy?
So so they search, they find the bodies of Beryl and baby Geraldine hidden in the wash house in the back garden. Geraldine, the baby, still had a man's tie wrapped around her neck.
Ugh.
Further questioning
Christ.
caused Evans to change his story a number of times, which included a confession to having strangled Beryl over mounting debts. But this may have been due to the limitations of his mental abilities and the strenuous police interrogation. Christie was also questioned, but managed to convince police that he had no involvement. So
Oh.
they believed him.
So they think it was the other guy that did
With
it.
careful coaching from Christie, wife Ethel also corroborated his version. So they put Timothy Evans on trial on
Yeah.
January 11th, 1950.
Oh, the same day that The Clock was on NBC, a suspense anthology series based on an ABC radio series. The half-hour series mostly consisted of original dramas concerning murder, mayhem, or insanity.
Yeah, okay.
That's
Yep,
pretty
that
cool.
day.
And a clock is in every story. There's a clock.
So he went on trial on that day, and his ineffective defense team failed to follow up on a number of inconsistencies in the testimony offered by Christie and his wife. Indeed, Christie was a key witness for the prosecution, and his positive impression on the jury was instrumental in Evans being found guilty.
What?
Evans continued to maintain his innocence and attempted one appeal, but he was hanged on March 9th, 1950.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Following the trial...
That's why the death penalty is fucking stupid.
That's right. You're
Yeah,
right.
wrong people get hanged.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So after the trial, Christie's hypochondria grew steadily worse, and he became depressed and lost a considerable amount of weight. He lost his job at the post office and found it difficult to maintain a new job over the next few years. Around December 12th, 1952...
Oh, the day that on Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet decides to try a new hairstyle, but it doesn't go over well with the Nelson men. Ozzie gently tries to suggest he wants her to go back to the look he's used to on Ozzie and Harriet. That happened.
Yep.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Ozzie and Harriet show. Yeah, I think it's starring...
Starring Ozzy Osbourne.
No, he wasn't born. He wasn't alive.
No.
yet.
Ozzy Osbourne himself.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
So around December 12th, 1952,
Yeah.
Ethel Christie disappeared mysteriously. And
Ethel disappeared.
And Christie told neighbors that she had gone back to Sheffield, while relatives were told she had become too ill to communicate with them, although he
no.
continued to send gifts marked as coming from both of them.
Uh-oh.
He had, in fact, strangled Ethel and placed her body under the floorboards in the parlor. Christie also began treating the house with strong disinfectants when neighbors remarked on the increasingly bad odors that were coming from Christie's house.
Oh, no.
Christie's next victim was 25-year-old Rita Nelson, a pregnant sex worker who was persuaded by Christie that he could assist her with an abortion. It worked before, and might as well try it again. And who suffered the same fate as Beryl Evans on January 19th, 1953.
The same day that Mark Saber was on. Inspector Saber was an Englishman who was a policeman on a big city U.S. police department, assisted by his loyal but thick-headed assistant Sergeant Maloney in solving difficult crimes.
All right. Yes.
Mark Saber.
Could he
I never knew heard of that show.
So her body was placed in an alcove that existed behind the cupboard in the kitchen.
So he's got
Somebody-
two dead bodies, kind of three.
He's
in
got
his house
3
now.
in the garden, 1 on the floor, and 1 in the
You know, the garden
wall.
ones have been found already, right?
Right.
So those are gone.
Yeah.
But now inside his house,
Now he's got
dead-
3, yeah.
3 dead bodies.
So-
just rotting.
26-year-old Kathleen Maloney, another sex worker, was gassed, strangled, and raped in February 1953.
Oh, geez.
She joined Nelson in the alcove behind the cupboard the next morning.
Gross.
Christie's final victim, 26-year-old Hectorina McLennan, was similarly gassed, strangled, and raped, then also stashed in the alcove. Christie then papered over the cupboard that concealed the alcove, but could do very little about the increasingly bad odor coming from the 3 decomposing bodies. He finally moved out of Rillington Place
Yeah.
on March 20th, 1953.
That's the next move. You move out. You just move out.
and leave those bodies
you
there.
leave those bodies there.
And he defrauded the family who took up
Leave it for
residency.
the-
He took 3 months
Yeah.
rent money from them when he was not authorized by the landlord, and they were forced to move out within 24 hours.
Oh, man.
So he defrauded them.
That's awful.
So then the flat's empty, right?
Yeah.
Another Rillington Place tenant was permitted by the landlord to use the kitchen. So he goes in there to use the kitchen, and he finds,
The bodies.
he finds the
Finds
bodies.
the bodies.
Discovers them the concealed cupboard and the bodies, and immediately notifies the police. So given the previous murders that had been committed there, a thorough search was initiated, which revealed not only the 3 kitchen cupboard corpses, I like that alliteration,
Kitchen cupboard corpses.
but
y'all.
also
Kitchen
Ethel's
cupboard
body under the parlor floorboards and 2 further bodies in the garden. The hunt for Christie began, and he was apprehended 10 days later on March 31st, 1953.
Oh, he was apprehended on the same day on ABC as the game show The Name's the Same was on, where guests who have the same name as a famous person, a fictional character, or things are quizzed by celebrity panelists who try to determine their name.
That
That's a
sounds-
real, like, they're really scraping the fucking butt.
No
They
kidding.
were-
That
They're
sounds
trying to
so
figure out
bad.
what to put on TV. They had so many games.
So, yes, so he was apprehended finally. He made statements about 4 of the murders willingly, but had an explanation for all of them. He said with his wife, it had been a mercy killing. She'd been choking to death anyway when he strangled her. And the 3 sex workers had been aggressive and taken advantage of him, driving him to
right.
defend himself.
Come on.
His confessions were riddled with lies and evasions. When confronted with the evidence of the garden corpses, he admitted those murders too, and at one point also admitted to the murder of Beryl Evans, although he described it again as a mercy killing. He never did admit about the baby.
Jeez.
So then he had a trial. He pleads not guilty by reason of insanity.
Yeah.
The prosecution said the fact that he hid the bodies proves that he's sane, that he knew it was wrong.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. Yeah.
The trial lasted 4 days. The jury deliberated for 20 minutes, and Christie was charged as guilty and sentenced to death. He was hanged on July 15th, 1953.
Oh.
Yeah, 20
Was
minutes.
there did they?
That must have been one of the last hangings in Britain.
You spoke
Because
about
it
the
wasn't
last
long after that, it
hanging.
was banned.
Did-
I thought you
didn't
did.
you?
I thought
I
you
can't
did,
remember.
Daniel, the last hanging. I thought you told us about that.
No, I listened to. I think it was an episode, like maybe 2 episodes ago. You spoke about the last.
That's what happens when you
We do so much.
smoke
Oh,
before
fuck.
you record too.
I know the last hanging was
Why would
like it was a
cigarettes do
guy
that?
who was like determined, like unfit for trial or
It's
something.
August 13th,
Because
1964
of
was the
his
last
mental age or something.
hanging in the UK.
Well, I got one more last thing.
All right, sorry.
So then, after that, Timothy Evans' guilt was brought into question and investigated again.
Yeah.
And in 1965, he received a posthumous pardon.
Oh.
That's
So-
the that
That's
was the
the-
question I was going to
Yeah,
ask.
they did go back.
I mean, it's a nice. It's a nice sort of thing to do, but really it doesn't do much. He's
Doesn't
still
really
fucking
help.
dead.
He's still
it's
dead.
Like,
Still
it's
killed
like
him.
it's like Alan Turing, like who cracked the Enigma codes, was like chemically castrated for being gay, and like killed himself. But then the Queen a few years ago posthumously pardons him and stuff and apologizes. It's not fucking good enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like when
That's all.
it's like when Obama apologized to the Japanese for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean,
Yeah, right.
you can't. A sorry can't take back
Yeah.
Of course
2
not.
nuclear bombs like that.
But I do think it's an important
Yeah.
gesture.
It did mean a lot
It
to
does.
them, I think.
I think it means a lot.
Yeah.
That's like, because if you think about like the insurrection, for example, the thing that's wrong right now is that our government has
Oh, do
not
you mean
come
when
out
do you
and
mean,
publicly condemned.
you
the,
mean when the
that it
Patriots
happened.
took back our country?
Oh my God!
It was just a tour. It was just a tour.
No.
It was just a simple tour.
they just wanted they just
What I'm
wanted to take
saying-
a shit on some people's desks.
I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I get it. I know you pretty well.
All right. What's next?
All right, we're gonna jump through December 13th, and we got another birthday.
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
There you go. Saturday, December 13th, Sylvester Ritter was born, American professional wrestler and college football player, best known for his work in Mid-South
This is
Wrestling
a doubler.
and the World
Fucking
Wrestling
sport
Federation
and a birthday.
Yeah, no
as the
kidding.
Junkyard Dog.
What did I do to deserve
A
this?
nickname he received while working in a wrecking yard. He was inducted in the WWE
I
Hall of Fame
recognize that
class
name.
of 2004. The JYD, the Junkyard Dog. He was
I recognize that name for some reason, the Junkyard Dog.
he was the first black wrestler to be made the undisputed top star of the promotion. Like, he was in 80s. He wore white tights with the word thump on his butt, and he was the dog like this. And I have a little connection to him. I happen to work with a guy right now, Jesse. He's a security guard, or he's the head of our security. He went to high school with Sylvester Ritter. Went to school with him.
All right. This is fascinating.
How about that? Yes.
Wow.
And that's why
That's
that's
really
my favorite
cool.
thing about him. Like, you went to school with the Junkyard Dog, JYD, doggy. So yeah, he's from around this area. Anyway, JYD was the best. I
Move
loved him.
on.
He used to headbutt people. You couldn't headbutt JYD; wouldn't hurt him. Okay. All right, and then Saturday, December 20th, 1952, a U.S. Air Force C-124 cargo and troop transport plane lurches to the side shortly after takeoff from Larson Air Force Base in Moses Lake. The left wingtip hits the ground and the plane explodes in fire. A total of 87 passengers and crew die. It is at the time the highest death toll in aviation history.
Yeah, that's a downer.
Yeah, most of the passengers were Air Force personnel from Korea or Northwest bases catching a ride home for Christmas in a program called Operation Sleigh Ride. So,
Fuck's sake.
yeah, it's very
They
sad.
just wanted to go and get their fucking turkey and they get fucking blown up.
The crazy thing is there were 121 passengers on board, so some of them escaped and lived, and only 87 died. So I
Well,
can't
good,
imagine.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
imagine
cannibalism on the
surviving
mountains
that
up.
and having that?
Oh, just the trauma.
You would have
must
nightmares
the
every night
PTSD,
about that.
Yeah. And
The
then
survivor's guilt.
yeah, Survivor's
Oh,
Guild, I'm
yeah.
sure is there. And then I'm gonna end December before we jump into some just dates, some 1952 ending things all across the world. The Detroit Lions beat the Cleveland Browns 17-7 in the NFL championship game. And Amy, you don't know anything about this or probably care, but it's very significant now because these two teams have sucked and been super shitty forever. Like, so to hear that the Lions and the Browns are in a championship game is laughable to anybody today. Anybody would just laugh at that thought because and they're both the two teams closest to where I grew up. Like, everybody's a Browns or Lions fan, and everybody's team is shitty as hell.
Yeah.
So this is funny
Well,
that back
don't
then.
you find it? I mean, it's like the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, that's fucking funny. They won the fucking Super Bowl. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny. But what's even funnier is I was watching Amy's face at the exact moment that you mentioned the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
And it's just brilliant to just see the fucking rage built up, just being like, you know, that
I
drug
know.
that you were talking about that alters time, Amy. I think you could have done with like a sweet dose of that right
Yeah.
about there.
Well, the Browns and Lions were good then, okay? I won't even get into the fact that the Browns were led by head coach Paul
No, we
Brown
don't
and
have to get
quarterback
into
Otto
that.
Graham. I won't even mention any of
No.
that. And the Lions were led by quarterback Bobby Lane. I won't even talk about running back Doak Walker and head coach Buddy Parker. I won't mention any of those guys.
Good.
So here's a couple more things in 1952 before we turn it over to our Scottish brethren here.
Can we take a break real quick?
Yeah.
The restroom break?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I got to put in our support. I got to put in an ad from our sponsor.
Yeah, I heard that you guys had an ad. I listened to
cool.
your
We've got one. We've got
last
one.
episode.
Found him on Podcorn. Finally got a taker on Podcorn.
Ooh.
The Eve S. Evans, that book.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got to put her on there.
All right, let
Okay,
me.
So you go to the bathroom,
Okay.
and we'll hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and pee as
Eve
well.
S. Evans' book.
Yes.
Paranormal horror author Eve S. Evans introduces a brand new spine-chilling release. Supernatural 911 Calls, available on Amazon today. First responders with any real time on the job believe in ghosts. They've experienced events they can't otherwise explain. Same with other professions that deal with injuries, accidents, or death. Police officers, firemen, 911 operators, they've seen the worst that people can do to one another, and they've all had brushes with the unexplained. Don't believe in ghosts? This book might change your mind and steal any hope of sleep. These stories are unexplainable, true accounts from first responders, police officers, firemen, and 911 operators, told from the perspective of everyday people. Every single tale between these covers is 100% true. Think you can explain them? We dare you to try.
I have to get, like, when I'm in the States, I always get a massive trays of pecan sandies because I heavily fuck with those. Pecan sandies and golden Oreos, those things.
Golden
fucking
Oreos are
amazing.
good. Okay, and we're back. Thank you for listening to that ad, and buy 100 copies of Eve S. Evans's book. And
I've got a copy here right now, and it's lovely.
Do you love it,
It's got a lovely smell.
Daniel?
It's got a lovely smell.
thank you guys for purchasing that and supporting our sponsor. Now, a couple things that happened in 1952 that aren't necessarily in December, but things that I forgot and that these Scottish fellas are going to share happened in Europe. So let me get mine in first. From Weird Universe Net, a wife's brother was really her husband. In December 1952, a Wisconsin farmer, Walter Brandt, testified that 6 years into his marriage, he learned that the man living with him and his wife was not his wife's brother, as he had been told, but rather her undivorced husband.
Oh.
The truth had finally been revealed to him by his wife's sister. The judge granted Brandt an annulment.
Well, I'd hope so.
Yeah.
Where was that?
In Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
Isn't bigamy illegal in the States?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was not allowed.
Well,
What's
because
bigamy?
I've watched a few documentaries like
multiple-
on
Polygamy?
Mormonism
Yeah.
and how them
They're
and how
crazy.
the Mormons yeah.
Yeah, I think it's if
and
it's your
how they
religion, you can do it. Isn't that right? Why they can do it?
I don't think Mormons Mormons don't do that. There's fundamentalist offshoots
I think,
that do, but they're like cults, I think.
Sister wives, like maybe it's not legal in the U.S.
It's fucking like I find it exhausting. Being with one fucking person, never mind fucking 6 people.
Right.
Like it's also
and
why I
Daniel
find the
have
concept
discussed
of
what our cult would be. Haven't we before? And what we would do if we had a cult is it would be a gay sex cult, but we would use it to convert right wingers to left wing ideology.
Oh, nice! I love that.
Yeah, because we were going through like all of the MPs that represent the Conservative Party in the UK.
Yeah.
And we were saying, right, so you fuck them, you fuck them.
Oh my goodness.
Convert them all to socialism.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, 1952, the first Les Paul guitar was on sale.
Oh yes.
And so I've
Wait,
never.
Is this the Gibson Les Paul, or is this the guitar that's been made by the guitarist?
The Gibson Les Paul was first sold and purchased in 1952.
Beautiful.
And so I didn't know.
Guitars.
I've heard of a Les Paul. I know that's a great guitar. I don't know a lot about music, as you guys. I mean, Nathaniel, I'm sure. Just you playing it, you probably know a lot. But I didn't know who Les Paul was, so I kind of did a little research on him and realized that his name was Lester William Polsfus, but he never really changed his name. But before he took the stage name Les Paul, he performed as Red Hot Red and Rhubarb Red, and he was a country performer. And he basically invented the electric guitar. Like he,
Really?
He used a 2-foot piece of rail from a nearby train line. Originally he wanted to make his acoustic guitar heard by more people, so he wired a phonograph needle to his guitar and then connected it to a radio speaker the first time. And then he took this 2-foot piece of rail from a train line and then made a bigger one for like what do you call it, sustain or whatever.
Les Paul's fucking great, but what I like more about that is his wife Mary Ford.
Yes.
So
you know he and his wife would play together, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing was, like, so obviously throughout history, there's been this thing about women can't do what men can do, but she could. He was a really incredible guitar player, and she could keep up with him.
I watched a YouTube video. There's a YouTube video you can watch, and she's kicking ass. Yeah.
Mary Ford's fucking incredible guitar player.
So is she known? Is she known like in guitar worlds?
Oh yeah,
really well.
Oh yeah, they are gods. Like,
okay,
Les Paul and Mary Ford are like fucking royalty.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna try to go quick with mine so you guys can get a jump to yours. In 1952, there was a contest to decide who would grace the front of the box of sugar frosted flakes. A competition was held between Tony the Tiger, Katie the Kangaroo, and Elmo the Elephant, and Newt the New. The competition was to see who would be the most popular.
That last
with the
one
American
is
public.
awful.
Newt the New?
Yes.
A wildebeest?
Newt.
Well, Tony the Tiger won, has been the mascot for Kellogg's Frosted Flakes ever since.
They're great.
Yes, they're great. But originally he had more of a football shaped head, and he walked on all fours, and he wasn't as big and built like he is now. And they used to be sugar flakes. They had to change them when everybody
took
realized
sugar
makes
out.
you fat, so they made him like lean, and they took the word sugar out. And
Wait, so they're called Frosted Flakes over.
Yeah.
Frosted Flakes now. Yeah.
So they're called they're Frosties over here.
Frosties. And do you have
They're
Tony the Tiger?
basically-
Do you have Tony the Tiger there? or
Yeah,
not?
yeah.
Oh, you do.
Yeah. We got Tony.
They're basically cornflakes, but they have flavor.
Yeah.
So thorough.
Cornflakes are fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know Thurl Ravenscroft is best known for supplying the voice of Tony. Thurl was the guy who sang "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch."
Oh, I love his
in
voice.
the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas. A lot of people thought that was Boris Karloff, but it wasn't. It was
because
Thurl
Boris
Ravenscroft.
Karloff
Here's a question for-
is got something to do with that movie.
Well, he's the narrator of that movie.
That's right.
So everybody thinks he's singing
it. I got
but
it.
he's not. It's Thurl Ravenscroft, y'all. Thurl Ravenscroft, Tony the Tiger, and the Grinch. Mean One, Mr.
Got a quick
Grinch.
question for
They're
you
great.
guys. What's your guys' cereal of choice?
I would say Cinnamon Toast Crunch all day.
I kind of like the Lucky Charms.
The wooden pieces make it.
Lucky Charms. I think
Lucky
that's
Charms.
the only American cereal that's made its way over here.
Do you like it or no?
Yeah.
Is fucking
I love Lucky Crunch.
See?
Lucky
Not
Charms.
in a long time.
You guys don't have Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch. What are they called? What are they fucking called over here? But we get them in our shop called Aldi. Do you guys have Aldi's?
we have Aldi.
We have Aldi.
Yeah. So we buy like own brand ones. But American cereal's fucking great, like Apple Jacks,
Yeah.
Fruit Loops,
yeah.
Captain Crunch. Do you guys have a cereal called Crave?
No.
Yeah, we do with a K. Krave, right?
Oh, yeah.
Krave. Yeah, they're like
They're like
these
filled with chocolate.
amazing like malt pillows, and they've got like chocolate hazelnut stuff, and it tastes like Nutella.
Yeah.
That's my favorite cereal. Crave is like peak cereal in the UK. We don't have, because the chemicals that you guys have, we couldn't even spell.
Yeah.
Neither can we. But we put them in everything.
Yeah.
But that said, that's all I got for 1952. So now it's time for Nathaniel and Daniel from the Who the Fuck Is podcast to take over and tell us some things from 1952 that happened overseas.
Who's going first?
Do you want me to go first? Because yours is a bit more dramatic.
Yeah, you go first. That works. I'm easy.
All right. So, cue the theme song because this is a birthday.
It's a birthday.
Oh, right.
Birthday. Amy hates birthday. Amy hates birthday.
There you go.
Is that 3?
I think this is 3,
Byrne,
If there's anybody still listening.
What's the most you've ever had in one episode?
You know what I should have? I should have Nathaniel record a Scottish version of that theme song for this birthday.
I can do that.
Well, now Amy hates birthdays. She couldn't give a fuck about when some specky ballbag shot out their mother's cunts. But we're still gonna tell her. We're gonna tell her straight about all those pleasant birthdays that Amy fucking hates.
May 14th, 1952, in Dumbarton was David Byrne, lead singer of Talking Heads.
Oh.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. I've met him. Where was he born?
You met
Dumbarton.
him. Dumbarton.
I met him once.
Near Glasgow.
Oh, fucking love David Byrne.
Yeah, I didn't know he was Scottish.
When did you meet him?
Well, he performed at at my theater one time, and he was coming off stage, and I was leaving for the day, and I basically bumped into him. He was like, "Hello," and he was all covered in sweat. And he was just in the middle of a performance. I was like, "Oh, hey, David Byrne," and then he had to go back on stage.
Well,
but it was pretty cool.
It's understandable that you're surprised that he's Scottish because he did move to Canada and then the US as a child.
Oh.
Most of his life there, but is Scottish American. He was kicked out of the school choir because his voice was too yelpy, so they shoved him out of there. He obviously co-founded Talking Heads in the mid-1970s. Their debut album, Talking Heads 77, in, of course, 1977. Future releases experimented with pop and African rhythms. Their final album was in 1988, entitled Naked. He collaborated with Brian Eno frequently. He wrote and directed the film True Stories. He won an Academy Award for The Last Emperor in 1987, the score for that film.
Whoa!
Established Luaka Bop Records in 1988, just a year after, in order to introduce U.S. audiences to world music. Collaborated with St. Vincent on her album Love This Giant in 2012. Produced and exhibited lots of just visual art and published books, including Bicycle Diaries and How Music Works, which was kind of like a biography of Talking Heads, but also going into the theory of music. He partnered again with Brian Eno to make the album American Utopia in 2018, which was adapted by Spike Lee for film. on HBO and also Broadway.
Huh.
In 2018, he toured 2 years after Trump was elected. He toured with a PowerPoint presentation titled "Reasons to Be Cheerful," in which he would just take people through a couple of good things that had happened in the world just to cheer them up.
Just to get over it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah. He has self-described mild Asperger's and has championed autistic causes to great result in public understanding and awareness. And finally,
I could
his
see that.
dad, when he was a teenager, modified a 4-track recording system for him to use. So his dad was very supportive of his aspirations and goals.
That's
So, yeah,
awesome.
Wow.
There's the life of David Byrne.
Lovely.
His live show is wild.
Really?
I mean, he's out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he looked out to. I thought he's on another planet, whatever he's on.
Yeah.
But he might not even be on anything. Like you said, he's got, he's a different type of cat. But his show was wild. I mean, it was.
Really?
And the audience just loved it. I mean, everybody. It's a theater. It's a theater with fixed seats, but everybody just stood up and was just having a blast. And his fans are.
I didn't
rabid.
discover Talking Heads until I got to college. Pretty much until I started taking drugs, I didn't know. Who
Yeah.
Talking Heads were.
That's why you
And
kind of need him.
And then when, there's a couple of good clubs in Dundee that sort of played older music. Like there was a club called Reading Rooms in Dundee, and every month they would have a night called Locarno, where they would play like 50s, 60s, and 70s music. So I remember Average White Band. So Average White Band is a band from Dundee. So play I've forgotten the name of their most famous tune, but I think they were on Soul Train. I think they were like the first white band that ever went on Soul Train.
Oh, really?
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think they were a disco band. Right?
Yeah. They were funk.
Yeah, funk. Right.
Jazz funk sort of thing, 'cause, like all the saxophone and stuff and all that jazz. Well, not jazz, it's funk. But Talking Heads would. I remember dancing to Once in a Lifetime in the club, and and completely off my face. And it's one of the most joyous times in my life, because it's. And also, I wish I knew the dance
reading
routine before
rooms
then.
closed down and turned into a chain. They have a new venue in Dundee called the Kings, I think.
Yeah, Dundee's currently going through quite a lot of gentrification. Basically, they're basically trying to sort of rip the heart out of the city, and replace it with chain restaurants, and because Reading Rooms had quite an accepted sort of drug culture about the place, and the security guards sort of didn't really give a shit about drug deals that were going on there. Like there was a lot of mainly pills. It was in Reading Rooms. It was a bit like a huge thing there. And it was for quite a while. It was the youth sort of place to go. The Reading Rooms was the club for people that didn't want to go and dance to fucking anything that was in the charts. It was a sort of where Dundee's sort of the people that were sort of outcasts, where they all went, and it was a huge community. It was Reading Rooms. Like people knew each other only through Reading Rooms. Like I still see people out and about Dundee that pretty much my only interactions. They had an outdoor
lockdown. So
yeah,
right.
But I've not been.
Sorry,
But yeah, we'll need when you guys come to Scotland. We'll need to go and take you and show you Reading Rooms. Reading Rooms. It's a converted. I believe it was a juvenile detention centre, and then it was a library.
It was a library.
It's a really old building.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you guys got is really old, I think.
It was not.
Yeah.
All right, now Daniel, what do you got for us?
What have I got? So I have got
know it's gonna be
a
good.
sports person.
Uh-oh.
All right.
But it's a sports person that's probably more of an interesting sport than football. He was a racing driver.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the life and times of John Cobb. So
John Cobb.
John Rhodes Cobb was born on the 2nd of December 1899 in Esher in Surrey. And he was an English racing motorist, and he was born very near Brooklands motor racing circuit, which he frequented as a boy. He was the son of Florence and Rhodes Cobb, a wealthy furs broker in the city of London. He received his formal education at Eton College. Now, Eton is...
Is that fancy?
I don't know if you know about Eton.
No, we don't. I don't.
So, Eton has produced the
rather
most
fancy.
prime ministers of any other school.
Oh, it's like Harvard.
Fancy.
Yes, so the current government, a lot of them have been to Eton, and like Eton is well known for having a thing called the Bullingdon Club, which was where all the rich boys would meet up together and burn
So
money
where
in front
David Cameron
Yeah.
fucked a pig.
David Cameron fucked a dead pig.
Ugh.
He also he put his penis inside the mouth of a dead pig.
Wait a minute.
They
Wait a
used to,
minute.
like,
What?
What are you referring to? Are you talking about?
David Cameron, the old Prime Minister of
David Cameron.
UK.
Yeah.
There was a big scandal where someone who had a grudge against him released in their autobiography that he had during his college days put his dick inside the mouth of a dead pig.
Oh
during,
my
like, a
God, you're
community
an
kidding.
initiation ceremony to the Bullingdon Club.
That's
and
probably
the Bullingdon
true.
Club, they also like,
Yeah, I believe it.
but they did like other things, like they burned money in front of poor people.
Oh,
That
Jesus.
sort of thing. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
they're complete
Just
fucking
filth.
degenerates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awful.
So big rich fucks, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I hope he wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So he received his formal education at Eton College and Trinity Hall, Cambridge, before joining his father's firm and pursuing a successful career as the managing director of a number of companies in the trade, the personal financial resources from which he used a passion for large passemotor high racing. And in 1924, he acquired a Royal Aero Club aviator certificate, qualifying as a pilot on a Sopwith Grasshopper. So it's that's a British 2-seat like biplane.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then he so we'll move on to his racing and speeds records career. So he won his first race in a 1911 19-litre Fiat in 1925
Emulous
at
Fiats.
Brooklands, that race circuit. And in 1928 he privately purchased a 10.5-litre Delage, which was imported to England from the factory in Paris, which he raced at Brooklands from 1929 to 1933, breaking the Flying Star outer lap record 3 times in these years, and being clocked at a top speed of 138.88 miles per hour
Wow.
on the 2nd of
fast.
July.
Thank you for converting that to
1932.
miles.
Yes, I appreciate that. We understand.
Yeah, 1932. And in 1932, he also won the British Empire Trophy at Brooklands. So that's a motor race in the United Kingdom, and it's hosted at 5 different circuits and awarded for 10 separate racing categories. In 1933, he commissioned the design and construction of the 24-litre Napier Ration from Thomson & Taylor, which he broke a number of track speed records, including setting the ultimate lap record at Brooklands Racetrack, which was never surpassed, driving at a speed of 143.44 miles per hour.
Wow.
That's fast.
Achieved on
That's
the 7th of October 1935.
Wow.
Having earlier overtaken the 1931 record set by Sir Henry Tim Birkin, driving Bentley Blower number 1 and regaining it from his old friend Oliver Bertram.
Oliver
In
Bertram,
19
y'all.
Oliver Bertram. I don't know very much about Oliver Bertram. He's another racing driver.
Yeah.
In 1934, RAC Tourist Trophy race at the Ard Circuit near Belfast. What fucking words? Why do places in Britain always have such really fucking strange names, and I can never pronounce them correctly when I'm drunk? Whatever that is, of Cobb and Honourable Brian Lewis competed in the class for larger sports cars against Eddie Hall, who is currently... It's not the Eddie Hall I'm thinking of. The Eddie Hall I'm thinking of was the strongest man in the world in 2017, which would be quite impressive if he was still going, considering he did that in 1934. And then I've lost my train of thought. Not only did he do all that, but John Cobb then served as a pilot in the Air Force in World War II between 1943 and 1945, being demobbed with the rank of Group Captain. And then,
is that low?
I think that's fairly high. It's a senior commissioned rank in many air forces, so it's senior. So we'll go for it. That's high. And then after that, that was when he got into his record speed career. But before that, we'll talk about how he married Elizabeth Mitchell Smith in 1947, but she unfortunately died from Bright's disease just 14 months later.
Oh, that's tragic.
And in 1950, he married Margaret Glass, who lived from 1917 until 2007, and they resided at a place called Grove House in Esher, which was an 18th century mansion which was demolished in the late 20th century for a building development. So no doubt they would have made these sort of like flat pack houses that all look the fucking same when they've demolished this lovely, beautiful building.
Yep.
But yeah, so Cobb returned to Bonneville Salt Flats in 1947, having before broken the land speed record there in 1938 by achieving 350 miles per hour.
Wow.
And he broke it a second time in 1939, achieving 369 miles per hour.
Can you imagine driving that fast?
Really, that's crazy.
Yeah. In 1939 as well. Wow. Yeah. So he returned there again in 1947, where on the 16th of September, he beat his own standing record by reaching 394
That's
miles
too
per hour.
fast.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's too fucking fast.
And then since then, he was known as the fastest man alive.
Wow.
I guess
Is
so.
that breaking a sound barrier or something?
Oh my
that
God.
fast?
It would hurt. Like
Not
your
I
actually
think your
sure.
eardrums would
You're
pop.
not meant to move that fast.
No, that is not meant to happen. I can't even imagine the amount of G-forces that he would have been experiencing there. That's ridiculous. So after the 1947 achievement, he turned his mind to becoming the fastest man on water.
Oh.
And when after that water world speed record, he commissioned from Vosper's the jet engine powered speedboat, which was named Crusader. And he selected the long water loch of Loch Ness in Scotland for the speed trial. And this is how we reach 1952. So on the 29th of September 1952, while he was attempting to break the world water speed record, the boat hit an unexplained wake in the water and completely disintegrated.
Whoa.
And
It was
his
Nessie.
body, yeah, very well he might have hit one of Nessie's bum.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, I'm just sitting here trying to eat my fucking dinner, and you're trying to act the cunt by doing some fucking water speed record. Take some of that, you dick.
Yeah, really.
But moving on to
That
more
was
serious
Nessie's
stuff.
voice, everyone.
She sounds very similar
Very
to
similar
Queen
to the
Elizabeth II.
Yeah.
Yeah, so during the run, the boat hit an unexplained wake in the water and disintegrated completely.
Just
Wow.
So his body had been thrown 50 yards beyond the wreckage.
wow.
and was recovered from the loch and subsequently conveyed back to his home county of Surrey, where it was buried in the graveyard of Christchurch, Esher. A memorial was subsequently erected on Loch Ness shore to his memory by the townsfolk of Glen Urquhart. In 2002, the remains of the jet engine speedboat Crusader were located on the bed of Loch Ness at a depth of 200 metres.
Wow.
Which is 656 feet.
Oh, okay. That
And
makes
at
more
the
sense.
site, the site was designated a scheduled monument in 2005, and the wreck was filmed by a research team from National Geographic in 2019. So yeah, it's still there.
Wow.
Wow.
It's still the boat is
monument.
still at the bottom of Loch Ness, and that is the
That's a story.
birth, life, and death of John Rhodes Cobb.
John Rhodes
Very
Cobb.
good.
Let's pour one out for him.
Yep.
That's crazy. That boat disintegrated. I
Cobb,
think I
which
remember
is
hearing
actually a
about that.
kind of bread as well.
It's a kind of
Cobb.
salad
It's a
here.
salad here.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a county in
Cobb-
Georgia
well, you
called
also get
Cobb County,
corn.
Georgia, where the Big Boss Man's from. Wrestler.
Who's the big boss man?
The Big Boss Man was Big Bubba Rogers. He went by Big Boss Man in the WWE. He was a prison guard from Cobb County,
Right,
Georgia.
okay.
Yeah, so anyway.
All
You'll
right.
look that up and enjoy that. Watch WrestleMania 3 and 4, and you'll get it. Anyway,
it is time to get
it's
out
time
of here.
to go.
Chuck
Thank
Berry.
you guys for being here. Please check out the Who the Fuck Is
Thank you for
podcast.
having
Yes.
Nathaniel and Daniel, thank you so much for
Wait,
doing
can I,
your
can I-
research.
Can I ask one question?
You can ask
before we
any
go,
question.
please.
Sure.
Yeah, whatever
Please,
you
Mr.
want.
He's Mr. Hunsaker.
Yes.
I want to ask Amy, where does that "Get Out of Here, Chuck Berry" thing come from?
Oh, it's the first episode. Was it the
yeah,
first
the
episode?
first episode, I think.
It is. Chuck Berry. You know who he is? He's rock
Ronnie
and
B.
roll.
Good.
Yeah, and he had a house in St. Charles, Missouri, where I'm from, and you could tour it. And they found out that he had video cameras in the women's bathroom in his
Oh, God.
in his house that people could
Yeah,
tour.
and it was 1990.
no.
1990.
And he
got-
was old by
yeah,
this time.
He got convicted or something because
and
that's
they
why we
both-
talked about it in our
they-
first episode was 1990.
And so I talked about how my friend Ryan and I would always joke anytime somebody would walk in on you on the bathroom. You would say, "Get out of here, Chuck Berry," because
Because he had video cameras in,
in the
women's
bathroom,
Yeah,
like
right.
Jesus
you're basically
Christ.
calling him a pervert.
Well, Chuck Berry is relevant to our last episode of the podcast, in which he got sent off to space in the Voyager records. So
Ooh.
if aliens
In
find Chuck
1977.
Berry and then do a little like Google search and
Yeah.
they find out he's like a sexual deviant, they're gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is who the humans champion."
That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Well, the thing about
We're
Yeah.
gonna fucking invade them.
Yeah.
it happened at a time when people didn't really pay attention to that, and the news wasn't like it is now, where everybody hears about it. Like there was no Twitter or anything like that. So I never knew that. I just know Chuck Berry has been the greatest rock and roller of all time, or inventing rock and roll, kind of. So she told me about that because it was like a local story where she's from. So, but since I've met her and her friend Ryan, they always say, "Get out of here, Chuck Berry." Anytime there's a bathroom situation, they've always said that. It's always been a thing.
That's how. That's
And
that's
it was
brilliant.
funny to
I
actually
love
hear
that.
why that was a
Brilliant.
thing. And then so we said that at the end of the episode, the first episode, we decided that's our outro.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Back when you were Grover Cleveland Steamer.
When I was Grover Cleveland Steamer, that she made me not be.
Yes. All right. We gotta
right.
say goodbye.
Yeah, now I gotta say get out of here, Chuck Berry, and you guys can say get out of here, Chuck Berry, and you know why you're saying it.
Get
Get
out
of
of
here,
here,
Chuck
Berry.
Berry.
We're trying to take a shit.
My baby's coming after me.
Cool.
Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. That was fun.
After me. She caught me hanging round with the sweetest guy in town. So my baby's coming after me. Her big brother owns a machete. Yes, her big brother owns a machete. He uses it on the weeds, but now he's gunning for my knees. Yes, her big brother owns a machete. So it's time to get the fuck out of town. Yeah, time to get the fuck out of town.
I'll take the next bus to Pluto if I must, 'cause it's time to get the fuck out of town. I'm living with the Inuits. Yes, I'm living with the Inuit. But no matter how far I get, that woman'll see me dead. So it's time to leave the Inuits. And now I live my life on the run. Now I live my life on the run. I'll die somewhere in a ditch because a vendetta-wielding bitch won't rest until the job is done. Well, somehow I'm back with my baby. Somehow I'm back with my baby. But I've been noticing every night she's been sharpening that kitchen knife. So I don't know how much longer I will be with my baby. No, I don't know how much longer I will be with my baby. No, I don't know how much longer I will be with my baby. No, I don't know how much longer I'll be.